My name is Kaitlyn Corner. I'm a 22-year-old ICU registered nurse. I've been a nurse now since I was 20. Kind of got into fitness 2020, the COVID year. That was my senior year in high school. Didn't have anything to do. My soccer season got cut short. We didn't have to go to school. So I was like, I'm just going to get into working out. I started at home, like with little dumbbells, 10-pound dumbbells, body weight stuff. Had no idea what I was doing. And then finally started going to the gym, probably like 3 months into that with 3 guys that I went to high school with. And, you know, they were just being guys, like, try to lift as heavy as possible. They would curl stuff I was doing, like, RDLs with or something. But that's really how I got into it. And then I saw Laura Lee Chapados on Instagram. And I was like, wow, what is this? Who is this girl? And it was a picture of her on stage, of course. So in 2020, I set the goal that I was going to compete one day. So I've just been training ever since, and I just competed in my first ever bodybuilding show. There's been a lot of bumps along the road, of course, with like nutrition, figuring out how to work out. I just recently started with a coach in April that totally changed the way I thought about things. I was with a coach 2 years prior, and she was great. I just needed something different. So now I'm with Justin Mahaley. He's been the best thing that has ever like happened to me. I would love to talk more about that, just more about my mindset around nutrition training. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at now with my life.
What was that experience initially like?
Yeah, it was hard. The guys I would work out with, we would go at like 5 or 6 in the morning. I was so scared to go by myself, so I would start with them. I just didn't know what I was doing. I was scared of what people would think about me, scared to do the wrong thing. So they slowly stopped going, and I was like, well, I can't just stop. So I'd wake up at like 3 or 4 a.m. just so I could go before anyone else would come in there. But it definitely was hard, and I kind of tell girls now and other women that I work with, like, don't be scared to go to the gym. Everyone's there to work on themselves. No one's paying attention to you. But I was really scared about just what people would think about me. That was the training aspect, but also the nutrition aspect was something on a whole other level. When I first started, I was like one of those girls that would eat like 1,200 calories a day, and that was it. So I've come a long way since that. But yeah, it was hard starting out. But I think social media now, it's kind of got to the point where like more people are talking about what's the right thing to do. There's also bad things, but there's more education now, and I kind of wish I would have had that when I started.
Did you ever feel like it was more uncomfortable to do it that 1,200 calorie way, or was it more comfortable to do it that way because that's what people were telling you, and it was maybe more uncomfortable to do it a different way?
Yeah, so I've always been like a all or nothing person, and my dad tells me I'm an extremist all the time, which I am. So at the time, it was uncomfortable, and I knew like deep down that I was not eating enough. But it's like you see all this stuff, and people are like, "Oh no, less is better. You don't need to eat that much." So as I kept doing it, it was like the more I did it every day that went on, that I was like, "There's no way I can like eat more ever." And I just started losing weight at the time. And of course, like as a girl, like seeing that number on the scale drop, I was just like, oh, this is what I want to be. But I finally like got down to like 130 after being around 145-ish. And I was like, this is not what I wanted to look like. So that's when I kind of doing more research, trying to figure out like you do need to eat to fuel your body, to train hard, build muscle, instead of just eating as little as possible. So it was uncomfortable, but it was like a mental thing. And I've come a long way since then. I think everyone kind of starts out with like that less is more mentality, getting into fitness and everything.
Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. Was it shocking, or was it hard for you at all when you did start to see that scale go down, but you also didn't necessarily see what you wanted to see? It was almost like I'm getting what I thought I wanted, but it's not really bringing me what I thought I would feel.
Yeah, it was hard because in the mirror, I was like, I'm not really looking how I want to look, but I was just like, if I just keep losing weight, I'll be there eventually. And that's what I kept telling myself. And that's another thing, like, there's not a lot of education about like how you get that muscular build or that physique. A lot of girls miss the mark on the fact that this muscle that girls that they want to look like, that's what they have is muscle. It's not just lose weight and boom, there you go. So yeah, it was hard, but 3 years later, I kind of figured it out.
Within those 3 years, was it a lot of like trial and error? Was it like, hey, let me maybe get, you mentioned, having a coach prior to the one you have now. Did you jump on to like the coach pretty quick once you did, kind of decide, okay, I want to do this the right way, or I want to figure out the right way to do this?
Yeah, at first, for about probably 5 to 6 months, I was just doing the workouts the guys I was working out with were doing. When they stopped going to the gym, I was like, okay, I could do this on my own, but I also just need someone to tell me what to do and kind of like what to do with my food. I've always played sports my whole life, so I kind of miss that coach like person in my life. And I'm better if someone just tells me what to do, because if not, I'm an overthinker. I'm going to sit there and think about it all day and obsess over it and be in my head and be like, oh no, that's wrong. So once I started with a coach, it definitely helped, even if the approach wasn't right at first for my goals. And looking back at that now, I know that. But at the time, I was like, oh, this is everything. This is going to get me where I want. But I think just making that decision for myself, that was a big step, because coaches are expensive. And I was like, okay, I'm investing in my health, in my goals. So yeah, it was hard at first, but I mean, I learned a lot with my first coach. I've had 3 coaches now, and each one of them have been great for the phase I was in. I've learned a lot.
What would you say was your biggest takeaway from, the first experience you had with your first coach? What would you say was your biggest takeaway, like the biggest lesson learned, or maybe a few of the lessons that you learned from that?
So my first coach, it was a dude, but he didn't even send me like a training plan or anything. He just told me to hit legs twice a week and then upper body 3 times a week. No exercises, no reps, sets, or anything. But I was like, okay, like I'll just build my own. And at the time, I was like, more volume is better. I was like 15 plus exercises every leg day, 5 sets. He did send me a meal plan that was pretty low in calories, probably 1,000 calories. I was with him for about 6 months, and I was just like, this isn't right. I had just always been in tune with my body, and I could tell something wasn't right. So I left and went to my second coach. But the biggest takeaway from that first coach is I kind of learned how much detail I'm looking for when I'm working with someone. I'm someone that likes a plan laid out. I want it to be to the detail 100% as possible. I don't like all the room for error that I was getting with that. So maybe it's too type A of me, but
I feel you. I'm the same way. I think part of that too is when you do have experiences where stuff doesn't work out, you're like, oh, well, if I would have just controlled that, or if I would have just known about this, then it would have worked out. And then that kind of leads to maybe a little bit of like that excessive control.
Mhm.
So,
And honestly, like for my goals, I kind of knew at the time, not as much as I realize now, but I was like, I want to compete one day, and I don't want to compete just for fun. Like I want to win. And I kind of was building those, like the little habits and the discipline that was going to take me to get there. But I was like, I need detail to this. And there's just too much room for error. Like even the meal plan he gave me, it was just like a handful of veggies or a handful of fruit, where I'm like, I need the zero point 0.0 gram, like tell me what to eat. So that was a big thing for me. But yeah, I learned a lot.
yeah, that sounds like a pretty intense, couple of months doing the 15 exercises and then eating 1,000 calories. That would be, I mean, what did that what was that experience just like day in and day out?
Just constantly tired, bad acne, which was just a sign of like my body was stressed out, cortisol was high. Didn't get a cycle for like 2 years. It was like a few months into working with him, and it took me 2 years to get it back. My hair was falling out. So at the time, I was 18, and I told my mom after I kind of stopped working with him, I was like, I need to go get my labs drawn. She was like, what? Like, you're 18. Like, what's wrong with you? And I was just like, Mom, please just listen to me. But it ended up my thyroid was wrecked. And it was just from that adaptation of just constantly just going in a sympathetic state. So also with that first coach, I learned a lot about my like goals bodybuilding, but also like a lot about the hormone side of thing and the health side of thing, which I'm really passionate about, especially being a nurse. So after that, I also was like, I'm gonna make a point to never let myself like get to this point again because there was no reason for me to be eating 1,000 calories. I was trying to build muscle. I was so small. But yeah, I learned a lot with that, and I just made it a point to pursue my health. And I knew I wanted to build back up from there and like get my food in a better spot, work out, like train better, and not do so much volume and stuff where I was just like running myself into the ground. So yeah, ever since then, I've always been really passionate about that.
That's cool to take something positive away from that experience. How long did it take you to hire that second coach?
I think it was pretty instant. I can't remember exactly. It was probably about a month or two just because I stopped with that coach. And I was, at first, my intentions were to take over myself and build my calories up. And I was doing good for about a week. And then it just kind of, everything came crumbling down because I was like, I can't do this. I can't make myself eat more. So a couple months, and she helped me a lot getting my food back in a better spot. My mindset, I think when I ended working with her, she had me like 3,200 calories. Yeah, but it didn't take me long just because I was like, I need someone to tell me what to do. And I knew what I needed to do. It's just making myself do it. As a young girl, like trying to make myself gain weight or watching the scale go up, it was just messing with my head. As we increased my food, of course, like all the symptoms of like high cortisol and just running yourself into the ground kind of resolved. My hair stopped falling out. I just felt so much better. I felt like I had my life back. And it wasn't even like a long time into working with her. I just remember it being a couple weeks. She jumped my food up pretty quick at the start just because I was so low. But after a few weeks, I just felt so much better. I was able to study and not pass out at like 7 or 8 p.m. My workouts got better. I did start to gain weight, but with that weight gain came more strength. I was training better than I'd ever have. I was seeing more progress, even though the scale was going up. I was loving what I was seeing in the mirror, just because more muscle fullness. But yeah, it didn't take me long. She was a big advocate about me getting my labs drawn. So we really focused on my thyroid. I had hypothyroidism a little bit, so we just focused on taking more rest days because my first coach also wasn't giving me any rest days. So we focused on actually resting. And that was something big for me to learn, just how to sit down and not do anything, which I still struggle with, but just actually learning how to rest and let my body recover. Because you need that for your mental health, but also physical recovery and everything.
Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. And then at what point did bodybuilding start to creep into like being a real possibility for you?
When I started working with her, I told her I wanted to compete one day, and she was like, okay, but it's going to be like a year or two. So I was like, okay. At the time, I did not tell anyone what I wanted to do. I started my Instagram then, but I had it private. So nobody in my hometown could follow it. Nobody was going to know. I would like post little posing pictures of like the bikini poses. My family had no idea because I was like, what will my dad think if he knows I want to get on stage in a little swimsuit? So it was always in the back of my head, and it was like something I really wanted to do, but sometimes I would like pull myself back just due to the fact I was scared of what other people would think. So that was the start with her. Then maybe about a year, it kind of got serious, and I was like, hey, I really want to step on stage. So we talked about it, and she was like, okay, we're going to take this 1 year off. You're going to keep getting your food high. You're just going to train hard so we can build a good foundation for you to step on stage. So that was the end of 2021 going into 2022. So my plan was step on stage in 2023. So I went through 2023, like just training hard, eating a lot. I gained a good bit of weight. at the end of 2023, I had an accident and I hit my head and got a brain bleed. And was in the hospital for about a week, I think. Ended up losing 20 pounds. Couldn't work out for about 2 months. So it kind of put me back at square one. So then I took another year to really grow. And my fire, like something about hitting my head and not being able to work out just lit like a new fire in me I've never had. And I kind of like dedicated to every single day. It was like gym, nursing school, rest, and repeat. And then went through a whole nother year of growing. And then I finally stepped on stage. And I love bodybuilding. And I think I knew at the start of like 2020 that I wanted to do it someday. I just didn't realize how much I loved it and how much like my life would revolve around it someday.
So those 2 months of not being able to work out, when you finally could, was it right away that you jumped right back in, or was there a period or any thought of like, man, I did lose quite a bit here, and that's it kind of, because I kind of had a similar situation to where it kind of like got me down really into like this mode of like, not like I don't ever want to do it again, but like, man, if it can all be lost that easily, is it even worth doing again?
I feel like you lost all your hard work.
What was that like for you? Did you have any of those thoughts?
Honestly, I don't think I did. I was upset, really upset at just the whole world for a little bit. And I kind of blamed other people for like what had happened and it made me so mad. But I never like wanted to give up on working out. It just kind of made me want to work harder just because of everything that had happened and what I had been through. But it was 2 months I was supposed to not work out. But I was like hiding dumbbells under my bed so my mom wouldn't know. My mom's a nurse too, so she kind of knew like with the brain bleed and the increased intracranial pressure, you cannot have like any type of exertion from your body. But I don't know. I just think it just lit a fire in me. Like I did not. I was depressed for sure. And I kind of was like, will I ever get back to where I want to be, or like, will I ever be good enough? But yeah, it just made me work harder day in and day out.
Getting back into it, did you feel a sense of like, all right, now I'm gonna go even harder. Now I'm gonna like take things even more seriously, so I can, speed this up, or just in general be better than I was before?
I was actually, yeah. So before everything happened with my accident, with my training, I kind of was like going through the motions. I've always trained hard, but it was almost like just ego lifting, no tempo, no control, not really understanding the anatomy with my body and the exercise as I was doing. When I was forced to like rest those 2 months, I really was like, okay, I want to grow. I want to build the perfect like physique for the when I get to step on stage. So I kind of just started from square one when I stepped back into the gym. I remember just dropping the weight on everything and really just focusing on the tempo, like at peak stretch, at peak contraction, really like knowing what I was doing with each exercise. And I kind of made every rep have intent and purpose. So honestly, I think it was a blessing in disguise because that's when I really saw my progress start to skyrocket. Just with focusing on what I was actually doing instead of just going through the workouts and just going in and getting it done and leaving.
So did you still have your coach during those 2 months?
I did, yes. And thank goodness, because I probably would have just cut calories again, just due to the fact I wasn't doing anything. Because in my mind, like, I know like talking to someone else, I would tell them, like, no, don't cut your calories drastically. Like, your body needs it to recover. But as myself, I was like, oh, no, I'm just laying here in bed. Let me not do anything. But that's also why I lost like 20 pounds in 3 days because I was in the hospital and I refused to eat the hospital food because I was like, I don't know what's in this and I'm not touching it. Where like going back now, like I wish I would have fueled my body instead of just saying, no, I'm not going to eat anything.
It's an easy kind of like mindset to slip into, right? Because it's like, okay, I'm just wanting the best for myself. I just, I'm not going to accept anything less. But, at some point that becomes an issue. At some point that becomes unrealistic, and it becomes like this where in any situation, like maybe in a normal situation, you can provide your own stuff. You can, you can have a routine, but when things are a little bit wacky and weird, at least I found myself kind of like slipping into, I'm just not going to have anything.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I still struggle with that, but sometimes like I think it's better to be okay with like stopping at Chick-fil-A and getting some grilled chicken nuggets instead of waiting 8 hours to eat after your workout. Of course, in a prep setting, that's like I always have my food with me. But I don't know. I think sometimes it's okay to give yourself grace and make those changes as it comes throughout the day. That's a part of bodybuilding and what it's kind of taught me, like resilience and adaptation to what kind of challenges we're faced. So,
Well, I think too, like I kind of got caught up a lot in like optimization. And I know like if I go back down that rabbit hole, I'll get caught back in it again. But thinking about like if I did, based on scientific research, if you do this, in this type of order for this long or this much, whatever, the situation that may be, whether it's food or exercise or whatever else you're talking about, sleep, I get very obsessive, kind of talking about like what we were talking about before with just obsessing over the details, obsessing over the fine details that matter on a very minuscule level, but to be good or even like very good, it doesn't really matter that much. And you can even be great and do most of those things, like 90% of the time. It's just I find myself getting stuck on I have to do it 100% of the time, and that's something I've definitely gotten better at. I think it's a little bit of kind of like a seesaw for me. When I get kind of pulled back into that world, I kind of fall back into those habits a little bit. But for now, I'm kind of more on the like you said, just doing the good things when you can and making it the standard, but not making it an obsession.
yeah. And something I see like on social media all the time is just people are like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this. But it's like people just need to learn how to train hard, sleep, properly recover, and eat good and do those four things and learn how to do that, the basics, and you're going to get results. Like people skip those four things and jump right into the 0.1% thing that's going to make them better because that's what they want to focus on. And I
Right.
don't know if it's just because those four things are kind of hard for people or they seem too easy, but it really is basic. Like eat right, train hard, recover better.
This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
That's all you need.
Well, I think it is. I think it's a combination of what you said about like it seems too easy looking at it from like when you don't do it, but then when you do start to do it, it's not hard, but it's like it takes a commitment. And then it's easy to look outside of that and go, all right, well, what takes less time? What takes less commitment? What takes, less energy, less effort? And it might be that point one thing.
A lot of people too, the monotony with everything. They say, "Oh no, this is boring. How do you eat the same thing every day?" Or "How do you go to the gym and do the same workouts every week?" And I'm like, if you're actually training hard, you shouldn't be bored because even if it's the same workouts every week, like I've been doing the same training program for about 5 months now, but every time I go into the gym, it's still fun because I'm trying to beat the numbers that I have in my logbook from last week. And with my diet, I don't hate what I eat, so I don't mind eating the same thing every day. And it really just truly makes me feel good. There's a lot of emotional connections people I think have with like working out or like food, and they don't know just how to breathe and disconnect from those emotions they have around it and just show up and just do the thing.
If there was the technology out there, would you choose to like take some sort of supplement or pill or whatever it may be to like get you the results of the gym without going to the gym? Or do you find that like the gym itself is something that you find rewarding and like beneficial for just what it is?
Yeah, if there was like a pill that I could take that would give me the physique I wanted and all the results, I wouldn't take it because literally going to the gym and just listening to music and trying to beat my workout from last week, that's what I love like about all this. Bodybuilding for me isn't about like stepping on the stage. It's about like prep, like 4 a.m. Stairmaster sessions, then going to work and then working 12 hours and then going to the gym and hitting 3 plates on the leg press for 20. That I love it. I just love the grind of it. I've really grown a lot as a person mentally from bodybuilding, not just physically. So I don't know. It's something I'm never going to give up. No matter what pill or supplement they make, I'm going to say no thanks. I love my gym sessions, and I love just showing up for me.
Hmm.
Would you take it?
I don't think so. I don't know. I feel like I might get tempted, but I just the same here. I love just like getting in my own space for a while, whether it's at home or at the gym. You have the music, or you have, sometimes like if it's a Saturday or a Sunday, I'll turn on football or something. And it's just like it's just my own time, and in a world where we have so many distractions, it's a time where you can just like do your own thing for yourself. I don't know. Yeah, but I think, like you said, I've noticed, I will say this, I've noticed in the last several months of getting back into the gym, I feel mentally better. I just feel better about myself. I feel better about having kind of in a weird way, like a purpose, even though it's not like I'm necessarily like doing this huge thing for the world. For some reason, it feels like I'm doing something positive. Gives me like self worth in a sense. It gives me like a lot of confidence and empowerment. There's a lot that goes along with it. As weird as that sounds, like I don't think you can get that from not doing it, but still getting the rewards of it. It's I guess in some sense it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's all the way like it, but it'd be kind of like winning the lottery, like right? Like you don't have to go to work, but you get the money.
Right. Yeah. And I think a big thing with it is the delayed gratification that it brings. Like our world today, everyone wants everything now. They want the instant gratification. Where like actually putting in the work and being patient and consistent, that builds up over time. And I think that's just a huge reward in itself, because you can look in the mirror or look at your pictures week to week and be like, wow, I'm actually doing this. I'm doing this for myself. And like the hard days that you overcome, those are the days that just make me feel so good and so strong. Like just leaving the gym at like 10 o'clock after working all day, I leave and I'm dead, but I'm just like, wow, I did that. And I think that's why it's worth it, because you really prove to yourself you're stronger than you think and you're stronger than your mind. And then also just like the connections you make with people in the gym or on social media throughout this community. Everyone's amazing. Actually, some of my best friends like I've met through like Instagram, and we're actually going to the Olympia next week all together.
That'll be fun. Bodybuilding seems like such a niche thing and kind of like in some senses a little bit underground, but like once you see people that are there for it, it's like, oh wow, this like there's actually people out there that are in the shadows, like, out there just enjoying the same thing that I'm enjoying. And like I said, bodybuilding on social media and Instagram has kind of made it more obvious that it's out there, but it's still kind of crazy to see it in person.
Just also like I think your environment too, like where you're from, plays a big like role in like kind of the environment you're around. Like I lived in a small, like down south little city. I was probably the only person like that even knew what bodybuilding was. I moved to a bigger city 2 years ago for a job, and I just joined this new gym that's like a bodybuilding gym, and just like being in that environment has changed everything. But I was like, wow, like there's a good bit of people here that actually are into bodybuilding, and I don't know, just it's nice to be around that environment, but also going to things like the Olympia. It's just so much fun because you're around people that are like you and that are working for the same thing.
It's cool. It's unique because like you said, in your everyday life, you're the weird one, right? Like you're the one that has the containers. You're the one that wakes up earlier, does the cardio and makes yourself uncomfortable. And then when you're there around all those people,
It's normal.
it's normal. It almost makes you feel like unimportant, kind of. I don't know if that's like too self-righteous or whatever, if like to feel like that, but it almost feels like, oh man, now I'm just like the normal one again.
I like that though, because like I'll take my food to work and people are like, "What are you eating?" And I eat cream of rice for like my second meal. And they're like, "What is cream of rice?" And they always, every day, make me feel bad about it. And I'm just like, "It's really good. Try it." But I don't know, like if you tell someone that bodybuilds, like, "Oh, I'm eating cream of rice," they're probably like, "Oh, what do you put on it? Like blueberries or frozen blueberries?" I don't know. I like feeling normal, or I feel like out of place in my normal life, like everyday to day life. But in environments like that, I feel like I'm just doing the normal bodybuilding things and everyone just gets it. So kind of
That's
take the
funny.
pressure and stress off of me, I think. That's why I like it.
Mm. That's funny. I kind of feel the opposite almost. I like to be like the weird one out, I guess. I like to be the one that's doing the weird stuff. So I always like feed off of other people being like, questioning me or like, why are you doing that? How do you do that? And I don't know. That's always been like one of my so I don't know if it's like a motivator, but it's always pushed me to like continue to do more. I think not to be like, oh, I'm better, but like almost like it's not like like almost in the opposite way. Like I'm not special, but I can do this. So
Yeah.
then like it almost makes me, I guess, feel a little bit like I want to be maybe like a leader in that sense. Like, hey, just, if you just do, like, you don't have to be like me or do like want what I want, but there is another way. Kind of, I guess that's the way I see it, is like I want to be that example of like the other way of doing things.
Well, that's a good way to look at it now that like you say that, because we're not average and we should embrace that. But like, how many people can eat the same meal plan? Like I wish I could just be more confident in that. But I'm gonna try that this week when people are like, "What is that in your bowl?"
Looking ahead at going from those 2 months of not being able to do anything and then getting back into it and almost this like refocus and double down on efforts and double down on strategy. How long did it take you to start to feel like, okay, I'm getting this stuff back? I'm getting my progress is coming back. I feel like I'm kind of like getting there again. I'm feeling good. How long did it take you to get there? And then was it in that same timeline or after that you started to talk again to your coach about like, okay, let's talk more about timeline on bodybuilding?
Yeah, so at first, the initial period, my goal was just let me gain weight back, let me get back into the gym, let me make sure I feel good. So probably about 3 or 4 months, it took me to get back up like 10 pounds living where I was. And then I was like, hey, I really think I can be in a good spot to step back on stage again. And honestly, like, um, after about 3 or 4 months, my body, my physique looked about where it was before I had the accident. So she was like, okay, we're going to do it. So we just kept building from there. And I did see a lot of progress in that just from being more intentional and everything. And I was in a good spot when I started my prep, I'd say, but it wasn't until my recent coach, like, he really pushed me to get stage lean. And then my training has never been better. Like I've never seen progress like I am now, just due to the fact I'm actually training and paying attention to recovery and just a better diet and everything.
What are some of those enhancements to the training program and the diet specifically this new coach has brought to you that has led to these, increases in performance and stuff?
Yeah. So with training, I'll start with training first. The biggest thing is it's been lower volume. Right now I have 4 leg days, which is a lot, but it's 2 glute hams, 2 quad and adductors. So it's a lot more frequency throughout the week, but each training session is lower volume, like 4 to 5 exercises. Previously, I was doing, again, like 10 plus exercises on leg days twice a week. And it was about 4 to 5 sets with a crazy amount of reps, supersets. But now it's 4 to 5 exercises each workout. And each workout has 2 to 3 warm up sets and then 1 to 2 top sets. And then sometimes an intensifier like a rest pause or drop set. Pulling back on volume, I'm able to just go so much harder now. I don't go to the gym and just like dread doing 5 sets of leg press for 30 reps and just going through the motions. Like now it's like 1 to 2 top sets on leg press. And that first top set, I'm going to give it everything I have because I only have one more left after this set. So just pulling down on the volume, I'm able to be so much more intense. I don't just try to go through the motions. I feel like I'm able to recover better. My other coach didn't have me touch my quads at all. She told me they were too big for bikini. That is not true. So just having more leg development now, that's been a huge thing. I don't believe like girls or even guys getting into the sport, they should neglect a body part because starting out, you need a good foundation of everything. It's not until you're like highly nationally qualified or like a pro where you maybe need to refine that training. It's like that 0.1% thing we were talking about earlier. Like, there's no reason for me to try to be 0.1% when I hadn't even competed yet. And I mean, in some situations, yeah, maybe don't touch your quads. But as a little 130-pound girl, there was no reason for me to not touch my quad. So just pulling back on volume. My diet now, I counted macros before. Now I'm on a meal plan. And a year ago, if you would ask me if I would have ever done a meal plan, I would be like, no, meal plans are stupid, like flexibility. But just having the plan set out of what I'm going to eat every day has been a game changer. Like, I don't have to think about it, but it's also like a consistent variable. So, like, There's no variable like with macros, like you may be swapping things, and that's so inconsistent. But the fact I'm eating the same thing every day, we can understand my digestion, what helps me feel good, what helps me perform the best, which are all huge things in promoting hypertrophy and just training and just optimizing your health in general. I think a lot of people get stressed out about like fitting their macros in certain meals or optimizing meal timing, or like with a meal plan, it's set out what I'm going to eat pre-workout, post-workout, and then my last 2 meals of the day. And I don't have to think about it. I just go in the kitchen and I make it. So that's been great.
With the training difference with decreasing total volume, per workout, was that hard to make that switch for you at first on like a mental level and just feeling like, oh man, I'm not working out as hard, so I'm not going to see these results?
It was so hard. Oh gosh, I remember when my coach sent me my training plan the first time. I was like, "There is no way this is gonna work," and it was so bad. I didn't say anything at first. I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna do it." And I really told myself, I was like, "Kaitlyn, you're switching coaches. You're gonna listen and do what your coach says." Because I'm so bad about doing more because I think more is better. Like, so I was like, "No, I'm gonna do it." And so Justin is my coach, and then we have a training coach, and I was forced to send all my videos to my training coach. And I kind of like, that was very humbling for me. I thought I did everything right, but he kind of was like telling me how to work better on tempo, pausing at the stretch, and then just going through certain things. And then after I started doing as he said and increasing the weight when he said, I was like, I don't have any more energy to do more sets than like a top working set. So it was hard at first mentally, but learning how to actually train is exactly what I need. I don't need any more volume or anything. So honestly, like after my show, I was just like, I just want to grow no matter how long it takes. I want to get stronger. So I've kind of like disconnected myself from a time frame, which I think is what I needed mentally. And I'm just focused on each workout when I go into the gym. I don't really know the next time I step on stage. Whenever my coach tells me I've grown enough, is when I'll do it. So now my goal is just grow, like no intentions or no knowledge of when I'll be on stage next. I just know I want to grow. I have a lot of improvements to make, and that is honestly just driving me every single day.
Well, I mean, it's cool when you have a plan and you see it working, you can take it day by day and be like, all right, that was, I checked all those boxes and I know I got a little bit better.
Honestly, before I started working with my current coach, I would like almost second guess myself because I just wasn't where I wanted to be. And I was like, there's something missing. And I thought it was just like, oh, I just needed to do more. But actually, like pulling back and just focusing on quality over quantity has been the biggest game changer for me. And I post a lot about that on my Instagram just because I want to preach that to people. Like, more is not better. Just put your all into the little sets you have, all into your everyday. That's all you need. It doesn't matter how much you do. It matters how you do it.
I really appreciate you coming on. It was great chatting with you and kind of learning a little bit about you. We didn't, even get too deep into the bodybuilding side of things, which I would love to do potentially on another podcast if you'd be willing to come back. But for now, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I've been listening to this podcast for a long time, so it's just great to be here. Thank you for talking to me.
Well, I appreciate you listening, and it was great to have you on. And if you want to share anything before we head out, any socials or anything like that, you can.
Yeah, so my Instagram is @_KaitCFit, KaitCFit. Go follow me on there. I post training videos like every day. Like I'm a little nerd in the gym. But talk about training, just life, nutrition, working as a nurse, 12-hour shifts and getting it all in. Go follow me and I'll follow you back, and I'd love to chat.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.